What's up, y'all? Welcome to Life According to Cree, the podcast. I am your host, Cree Cole, and Life According to Cree, the podcast is the place in the space where we have real life conversations about life, love, relationships, growth, and the truth that we sometimes have to learn the hard way. If you are truly tapped into Life According to Cree, you know that on Easter Sunday we did not have an episode. We did not. So that means your month of April is only going to have 3. But what we are going to do, because everything has to be done in time and in order, is we are going to jump right in to our April theme, which is being anchored in. If you're tapped into lifeaccordingtocree.com, then that means that you are currently 12 days into your life check and Empower 365 challenge. If you really tapped in and you really with your girl, you also have downloaded your life check and Empower 365 workbooks. You getting it in and getting it done. But if you had it, if you don't, if you ain't subscribed, it's cool. Get you a little notepad, get you a little journal, get you a little cutesy one sue, and let's get to it. I ain't even gonna hold you. I ain't gonna hold you. There has been so much going on in the headlines the past 2 weeks that I am burnt out. Do I know what's going on around the world? Absolutely. Absolutely. Do I care to discuss it on this Sunday night? I don't. I don't. I don't. It's more of the same old same, more of the whoop-de-doo, the wakaka. It's just more of that. It's just more of that. No, what we can't get into in this real life recap. Because I ain't seen y'all since last week. I ain't seen y'all since the week before, the week before. But we can talk about Gino losing his shit by losing a doggone basketball game. Turning around, putting out a statement where he don't actually apologize to nobody. I don't know who wrote that. I don't know who threw that in ChatGPT and said, yeah, here you go, here it is, and put that out there. Must have been the AD. Must have been the AD. The AD needs to have, somebody need to have a conversation with the AD if that's what they came up with. Only to turn around after Dawn makes a public statement. Now, mind you, she stood 10 toes and defended him. Sunday, game day, when the last thing that anybody should have been worried about was what the hell Gino said and what Gino was doing when we get ready to pay for a national championship, but that's not the here nor there. After all that's all said and done, she makes an official statement about it after being asked about it every interview before and after the game. I'm okay, y'all. I'm okay. And then for him to turn around and make a new statement where he actually says her name. My thing is, nobody should have had to told you that. No one should have had to have told him that. But Big D said, leave him alone. It's all right. Let's get back to the business of promoting and elevating women's basketball. And as an 80s baby, as somebody that was there at the start of the WNBA and was playing ball before there was a WNBA, I'm with it. I'm gonna do what Auntie Don said, because see, I can say Auntie Don because Don is my auntie age. We're not the same age. I'm gonna do what Auntie Don say. However, he better tread light. Because my granny Pat had already done said he wasn't. Okay? That's what Granny Pat said. Granny Pat couldn't stand it. Then Auntie Don said, you know what, I know Mother Pat ain't with him. But I'ma try. She said be cool. She said be cool. I have no entertainment news. I don't have no entertainment news because I can tell you over the past 2 weeks, as far as the world of entertainment is concerned, I have not been entertained. So now I ain't got no entertainment news. And like I said in the beginning of the clip, I ain't got nothing to say about y'all administration. Y'all already know what it is. When you see the goofy sounding headlines, that can't possibly be true headlines. Yes. That is in fact what's happening. It is not AI. It is not fake. It's not something that people are making up. All you got to do is turn into your local station, CBS, NBC, ABC. They will give you all the news that you can't use, but definitely need to know every single day. And if that and if that behooves you, turning on your TV and turning on ABC, NBC, or CBS, if that messes you up, there are plenty of other ways to get that information. But I ain't fooling with it. All I know is that to me, this may just be to me, Iran is not the problem. It seems to me at this point, we in Israel are the problem. If I pretend like I don't know this war was made up just for the sake of doing shit. So, oh, let me go back to that. Shouts out to UCLA. Shouts out to UCLA. I don't think nobody from the coach down was born the last time they had a championship. So kudos to y'all. Be careful out there. Be careful out there. The Lady Cox will be back in at full capacity. But be cool though. Be cool. Congratulations. Congratulations. I like Coach Corey myself. I like her. I like her. But let's go ahead and get into this episode. Like I may have said earlier, the month of April is all about being anchored in. And what I mean by anchored in is and about being anchored in and about what to recognize when change or a shift happens in your life. So let's get into it because change gets a lot of attention. And because change gets a lot of attention, a lot of times we talk about what happened, but we don't talk about what happens afterward, after everything shifts, after everything settles down. Like, and after life looks different and you finally have a moment to sit with yourself, you really should ask yourself, who am I now? And even deeper than that, what stayed when everything else did? Because those two questions actually go together. A lot of time talking about change like it's a moment. Like it's just something that just mystically and magically occurred like at a snap of a finger or with the wisp of a wand. When that can be the farthest thing from the truth. Usually real change, even if it's not intentional, like even if you don't have a goal or a plan set, change is something that happens over a course of time. And we won't even notice it. Other people will start to point it out to us and we still won't pay no attention. Like they're like, you'll be having a conversation with a friend and you all will be talking about something. And it's something that the two of you have always agreed about, pretty much been along the same lines of, but now, because of the shift that you're making in your life, your view has changed a little bit. Your homegirl could say to you, like, I didn't know you felt that way. You never felt that. Girl, you changed it. I'm like, girl, ain't nothing. Girl, I'm that same bitch. Y'all know how we do. Ain't nothing about me. I'm going. People describe change like something happens, you adjust, and then you just move on. But that's not how life really works, is it? Like, change is layered. It unfolds and it lingers. And the part nobody prepares you for is what happens after everything stops moving. When the calls slow down, when the attention fades, when life isn't chaotic anymore. And now it's just you sitting in your new reality. And that's when it hits you. This don't feel like me. I ain't been feeling like myself. I don't know what's wrong with me. I feel off. No, not necessarily in a dramatic way, but in a quiet internal way. And that feeling, that's where a lot of people start to panic because they think, oh my God, I'm lost. I'm lost. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what. But you're not lost. You're adjusting to a new version of your life that requires a version of you that you're still getting to know. For a time back in 2021, my son was taken away from me. Initially, he left me in order to explore new horizons. And then we had an event where even if I wanted access to him, I couldn't have access to him. And the things, everything that I had going on at the time, I didn't stop doing the things that I was doing, but the way that I did them completely changed. I went from maybe 4 times a week, texting or calling my son, being like, "Hey, how's it going? That's cool. How's it hanging? What's going on?" Him calling me to be like, "Yeah, we did this today," sending me videos about what he's doing and all that kind of stuff. And that was just like regular schmegular things. So we had those things going on. I was coaching basketball. I had a couple of little boot things. I was going out, me and my cousin were like spending a lot of time together, going hanging out, exploring, et cetera, et cetera. Like that was my normal flow, but then everything changed. We had a life altering event, and I no longer had access to him the same anymore. And for over the duration of that time, where I could have just called him up and be like, "What you doing?" Because he crossed my mind. Now I'm literally sitting by the phone waiting for calls. When I'm doing my coaching thing, when I'm out with my people, when I'm out exploring or whatever the case may be. If that phone rang, I had to answer it. I had to answer it. Everything changed in the blink of an eye. And I had never experienced anything like that before. So I didn't know how or the best way to show up as his mother during that season of his life. I didn't know. What worked before no longer worked. And then as soon as I started to adjust to that change, he came home. He was home. And ever since the moment he got home, I've been working towards adjusting to what inevitably will be the next phase of his life and how I'm going to show up for that. I've been in a space of adjustment, and I let go of a lot of things because I was extremely overwhelmed. Extremely overwhelmed. Like I told my son probably sometime last week. I know it was last week. I told him that I worry about him every single time he's not in my presence. And he just turned 25 years old today. Well, not today, Lord have mercy. Just turned 25 years old on Thursday. But I worry about him every single day, and I told him there's never going to be a point in his life where his well-being is not going to be on the top of my priority list. But I've been in an adjustment period ever since he got home. There are so many things that I used to do that I still want to do, but I don't know how to do them. Now that this change has occurred, I don't know how to. I don't know how to juggle it. And that's one thing about my platform that I push to people, and I want for people to understand. And when I meet people, I try to tell people, yes, I am talking about healing and all of the things, but baby, we are all on a journey. Whether it's a positive one, a negative one, a mixture of that, this, and everything in between, we're all on a journey. We're all going somewhere. But building this community is something that was birthed from me wanting to share my stories, encourage others through what I've seen thus far. Because I haven't seen everything. I haven't seen everything. I haven't experienced everything. But the light that illuminates from me, apparently, from time to time, I just want for other people to be able to see that light and to know that if I am able to get through the things that I am going through, you can get through the things that you're going through too. Like, you don't feel like, and what I had to realize is you don't feel like yourself because you're not your old self. I'm not Coach Coleman anymore. I'm not Coach Coleman. Do I still have all of the core values that I had that made me want to be a high school girls basketball coach? Absolutely. It's all still in here. It ain't went nowhere. But I'm not my old self. And let's sit with that for a second. Because a lot of us don't give ourselves permission to change, whether it's good or bad. And sometimes we won't give ourselves permission to change because we don't want to disappoint family. Sometimes it's because we don't want to disappoint our mate. Sometimes it's out of fear because we think that if I change this about me, then those people won't be comfortable with me. And I don't even know if I'm gonna be comfortable with myself. So what I'm changing for? We expect the growth. We do the things to grow, but we expect to still feel the same. And that's just not how that works. And then we start to focus on the loss. Now, here's where we get stuck. This is what quicksand. This is where the quicksand shows up. When things change, when things fall apart, when life shifts you in a way that we didn't plan, our focus immediately goes to what we lost. We never start thinking about, like, it doesn't even cross our mind to even consider what we gained. We start replaying what didn't work, what ended, what we no longer have, because loss is loud. Loss demands attention. Loss is easy to identify. It was here and not gone. But what we don't naturally do is take inventory of what remained. And that's the part that requires intention. Like, you really have to actually stop, slow down, stop, and take a real inventory of what is still there. After everything happened with my baby, I was so focused at first. I was in a bad space, a very sad, lonely space. Even though he was home, I was in a very sad, lonely space because I was so focused on what was lost during that time and what could possibly be lost in the future, that initially I wasn't able to fully give God the glory and be thankful for what still remained. Like, I had done convinced myself, and people tend to convince themselves that everything is gone. It's over. Like, I literally spent, that was 5 years ago. I'm telling you, just last week, I had to have a conversation with my son where I had to let him know that everything was not gone, baby. Everything wasn't gone. It's just not true. Yeah, it may look different. It may feel different, but it's not gone. I said everything ain't gone. You just haven't stopped to take inventory yet. We either jump out there trying to prove the change, or we settle into focusing on what's lost. And I promise you there's a happy medium to it all. The main reason that you feel lost is because you don't know who you are anymore. Even when it's a positive thing, you don't know who you are anymore. When I lost 80 pounds, when I lost 80 pounds, I did not know who I was anymore. I remember calling up my friend Angie and saying to my friend Angie, girl, I don't even know how to walk in my skin. Like, I'm not comfortable in my own skin. I'm not comfortable in my own skin. Losing 80 pounds, being like 180 pounds, coming from like 260, 270 down to under 200, that is an accomplishment. That is an achievement. There are multiple videos all across social media about how everybody's trying to get skinty. I ain't never wanted to be skinty. I was 180 pounds. Bitch, I was skinty. I talked to a trainer and purposely gained 20 pounds back because being 5'8" and 180 pounds is it wasn't for me. Okay, it wasn't for me. But I literally was not comfortable in my own skin. I didn't even know how to shop for clothes. You would think that it would have been just as simple as going over there to the actual other side of the store where they have a wide variety of clothes instead of going to the plus size corner. You would have thought it would have been real simple since I didn't have to find my size no more. But it wasn't. It wasn't. And I was constantly comparing myself to a version of me that no longer existed. This Crystal would have been fine with this. This Crystal would have been a little bit more patient with this. This Crystal would have been a lot more understanding. But I wasn't that Crystal no more. Same thing with my relationship ended. When my last relationship ended. It was a change. It was a major shift. And I kept trying to figure out initially, because I hadn't said I wasn't dating anymore or nothing like that. I was trying to figure out initially what the heck was going on. Like, why wasn't anything? This dude is way better than the last one. He way better than the last one. But it's still off. But I know that that's what I was into. I know that's what I was into. Why am I not into it anymore? The old version of me was into that. And I don't know what the new version of me like. That makes sense. You find yourself trying to match your current identity to a past reality. And it just doesn't line up. Because that version of you had different responsibilities, different awareness, different experiences. That other version of you had not experienced heartbreak. That other version of you didn't know what it felt like not to have access to your child. That other version of you didn't know what life was like without their grandmother being present and being available every other day. They didn't know what that felt like. And to be honest, it starts to create confusion. And the confusion makes you feel like you lost yourself when really you just outgrown who you used to be. And there are adjustments that need to be made. So when you sit down and you really dig into it to actually figure out where you're going, the first thing you have to do, like we talked about earlier, is get down to the nitty gritty and figure out what stayed. Because even in your hardest moments, something in you stayed. So let's talk about it. Think about it. Your ability to think clear under pressure. Your ability to keep showing up when you didn't feel like it. Your ability to process, to adjust, and to survive. That didn't leave. It didn't disappear no matter how hard of a situation you may have endured. If anything, you got stronger. And a lot of times we overlook that because it doesn't look flashy. But that's the real work. Who I am today is a whole better bitch than who I was yesterday. And that's before the situation with my baby. That's before the situation with that man. Who I am now. People thought I was tough before. Baby, some of the things I done been through and I done experienced since then would have took 20-something-year-old Crystal up out of here. Some of the things that 40-year-old Crystal acknowledged but let roll off her back or address and then move on from, 20-year-old Crystal would have crashed out and passed out. Younger me had a flair for the dramatic. Even down to when I was a teen. I remember we were stationed in Jacksonville. We were moving to another state. And we had unpacked up the whole house. And then that night we were leaving to get on the road to go to where we were moving to. And I remember being in the house and being overwhelmed. It was getting almost dark. So my little boyfriend had to go home and he went home. And I was in the house and I was stressed out because, oh my God, I had just realized that he is leaving. I won't be around him anymore. It's over. We'll talk about it a little bit on another. We're going to talk about it over there on Cree said one time. We'll have a conversation about that. We can't have that conversation here. Nonetheless, I ran from the back of my house, in my room, ran through the house, came by the living room, through the foyer, out the front door, ran over 2 blocks, got over to my boyfriend's house, fell out in the yard. I'm telling you, things that in my teens, in my 20s, would some of the things I have been through since I've been 40 would have took me out. Would have took me out. But being stronger, like I said, isn't flashy. In some spaces, being stronger, especially as a woman, is considered a turnoff or almost like a betrayal to your femininity and your womanhood when it's not. Yeah, that's gonna have to be a conversation for another day too. No, it ain't. We're gonna talk about it right now. When it's not. The stronger a woman I am, even in my season of singleness, makes me a way more powerful help me than that girl that don't know herself. But you can't tell the young girls that, and you can't tell them nasty. Moving on. One thing that we fail to realize is that what stayed is your foundation. Not the relationship, not the title, not the external validation, but the internal parts of you that did not break. That's what you rebuild from. That's what you stand on. That what allows you to move on, move forward without feeling like you're starting from zero. You have something. Yes, those things are gone. Yes, that is over. But the foundational things that really truly made you you, those foundational things that attracted that man in the first place, those foundational things that got your child to the space where they were at before they did the thing that they did that possibly took them away from you. Listen, those things are your foundational platform. If you got a life coach, and I'm saying this as a life coach, if you got a life coach that urges you to completely abandon everything that you've ever known, ever heard, I urge you to pause, baby. They're trying to make content. They're trying to make content. They need for you to buy that whole 12-book series, okay? They need you to buy the whole series because it's that foundation that lets you that lets you know and keeps you from starting from zero because you're not starting from zero. You're starting from experience. If you're a grown adult, baby, you start from experience. They may not have been the best experiences, but experience nonetheless. You got to meet the new. You got to meet the new you. So now you're in this space. You're meeting a new version of yourself, figuring out all these new likes and dislikes in real time. In real time, because you don't what's up until it's in your face. While also recognizing what in you never changed, and that's where the clarity starts to form. But clarity doesn't come from rushing. You can't rush yourself into being a new person. Okay, it took you lost the weight. You lost the weight. You had the surgery, you got on the meds, you worked out, you lost the weight. Now all of a sudden you the baddest bitch in the room, and then just 9 months ago you was crying talking about don't nobody like you. But the clarity doesn't come from rushing. Rushing is a setup to end up back in some of the same cycles that you were in before, accepting some of the things that you accepted before, doing things that you did before that had you in the space where change was needed in the first place. It comes from paying attention, from asking yourself better questions, from sitting with yourself long enough to understand what do I actually need right now? Not what I used to need, what I used to want, not what people expect from me, but what do I need? What do I need to be happy? What do I need to survive? What do I need to maintain this? What do I need? And that takes shifting your perspectives. Instead of asking, why did this happen? Ask, what did this reveal about me? What am I finding out about me that's new? What was there that I didn't know was there? Because I promise you, when you start announcing things that you didn't know was there, you're like, oh girl, I always saw that in you. Because doesn't just take, it exposes, it reveals. It shows you what you depended on, what you tolerated, what you're capable of. And once you see that, you can't unsee it. You rebuild from what stayed, not from what left. Anytime I'm with the girls and one of them going through a breakup and they started doing all that, I'ma show him, oh, that chick that chick that he dealing with now, yeah, she be looking at my soul. I want her to see it. Anytime someone is more focused on what left rather than what remained, rather than what's still there, I gotta add you to my prayer roll. Cause you think you know and you have absolutely no idea. Your change can't be based on what left. Your change can't be simply because of what left. You rebuild from what stayed. What do I have right here, right now, that I hold enough value in to be the best version of me that I can be? To be the version of me that God needs me to be in this season of my life. What's here? Doing it solely based on what's no longer there is never going to progress you forward. You may think it is. You know, you buy some, they leave you. You buy some new clothes. You start wearing your hair different. You start catching flights and going to the big parties. You start meeting all the promoters. All the bartenders. Y'all know how we do. Y'all know how we do. No. You start wearing makeup, you start getting out, let's go get your nails done and stuff. You couldn't do that when you was with that broke nigga. Trifling nigga. You couldn't do stuff like that. Because he gonna regret the day he left me. Huh. And you still going through checking his social media pages. You still friends with all his friends on social media. You still go around all his friends because you're just hoping that you get a little bit of tea or maybe come across him. Ain't nothing you changed, yo. You ain't changed. You changed everything but what you needed to change. Because you're focused on what's gone and what left more than you're focused on what's in front of you, your kids, your family, your career, your faith. Those girlfriends that may or may not be steering you in the wrong direction as far as your transition is concerned, I promise you. Because if your transition is real, all the friends ain't going to make it. All the friends ain't coming. Ain't enough room for them. So if you've been feeling disconnected, if you've been trying to figure out where you fit in your own life, if you've been questioning yourself, I want you to sit with this. You're not lost. You're in a space where you're learning who you are now while recognizing what in you, never left. And that combination, that's not confusion. That's alignment being built. So y'all, if in this episode, if it spoke to you, I want you to do two things. First, drop a comment and tell me what is one thing in you that stayed even when everything else changed. And if you know someone who needs this conversation right now, send them the episode. Send them the episode. And if you're ready to go deeper, the deeper, visit Life According to Cree and join the Life Check and Empower 365 challenges. Download the interactive workbooks and continue to work on yourself. And even if you want it, even if you do it for no other reason but to pour into others, keep doing the work beyond this conversation. You can also explore books from the Empowered Living, Life Teams, and Life Kids book collections. They're all available on Amazon. And for your daily dose of Cree, daily dose of Cree, follow me on all platforms, Life According to Cree. I don't always post on them all, but I post every day somewhere. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss out on what's coming next. Thank you for tuning in to Life According to Cree, the podcast. And remember, loving yourself first isn't about being selfish. It's about learning to love yourself in a way that allows you to love others better. Until next time, bye.